Welcome. Today we are going to be discussing how to refill your fountain pens. First off, you're going to want to give yourself some space. Then you're going to want to prepare your area. So either get a paper towel, a napkin, an old rag, anything you don't mind getting inky. We're going to be refilling 3 different pens, so I can show you 3 different refilling systems. Kind of like in the 90s, you remember little holograms and stuff like that. So that's just kind of cool they did that. But this is TikTok Green. We're going to be refilling this one. And as you can see, it's still some in the converter. What is a converter? So when you get a fountain pen, it will either come or will be accessible to a cartridge or converter or both. A cartridge are these little things right here. They come in a little disposable pack. They're disposable units. You pop open your pen, you shove the cartridge in, and you're good to go. Cartridges, really, really easy and convenient, mass-produced, come in a box, disposable, throw them away when you're done. Downfall is they don't have near as many colors. What is a converter? A converter is this piece here, and I probably shouldn't be doing this on this one because it's still filled, but whatever, guys, it's for you. All right, and so a converter, I've now removed the nib, is this refillable piece here. So as you can see, it would take the otherwise shape of that cartridge and it just plugs up into the nib, and that's what supplies your nib with ink. The converter is cool because it's refillable. So you're not wasting all of this plastic and you can use the ink of your choice. Best part about it. All right, so this one was the most common form that I've encountered so far, and this is a twist mechanism. This still has some ink in here. You can see through the window, so I'm going to hope it doesn't squirt out on me because I want to try and get a maximum fill. When you turn this mechanism, the little plunger there goes back, and then it creates a vacuum and sucks up ink. So that's what we're about to do. All right, so when you get your ink, you're definitely going to want to shake it just a little bit. You don't have to go crazy unless it's got shimmer. In that case, go crazy. I say just a little bit because sometimes they have a lot of bubbles that you have to kind of pop. All right, so we've got our ink. Now we're going to submerge this nib right about to the tip of there to make sure. Sometimes there's a fill hole right about there, and you want to submerge it just enough to get to the fill hole. I try and play it safe, get through the bubbles up top here and go a little bit deeper. And then we are going to submerge it and twist on up. You can see it's sucking that ink right up. Beautiful. All right, this one is golden. I'm going to kind of get some of the excess ink off there. First things first, let's cap that up because spilled ink is never fun. Now, I'm going to ensure we clean it before we really go touching it. And this is where all your extra cloths are going to come in handy. So first thing I do is dab this part, and you can see there's a lot of ink just that got there. Now, there's always going to be some ink on your nib, just a byproduct of using a fountain pen. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper towel, kind of put it in a point, and I'm going to gently kind of swipe away or swipe side to side. There's a vertical line right here. If you touch that vertical line where the ink flows, this paper towel is just going to soak up all your ink, right, inevitably. So we're just going to avoid that center line, and we're going to take our little paper towel and clean up the entire nib right aside of the breathing hole in that center line there. And that looks good. Now for the bottom, I might take it and run it just gently right about there, but you don't really want to get the spines too much because that's like your reservoir of ink. So if I put this there, it's going to start sucking up a lot of ink, and then this ink is slowly going to be sucked up as well. So I'm not really going to dab there, but I did get just that flat part, just a touch. Now don't get too close onto the, the actual metal. You're going to start sucking up ink again. But that is the basic premise here. All right, so this one is good to go. So this is good. And it's often good just to give it a quick write, just to make sure everything's handy dandy and you don't have extra ink hanging around in the feed. I'm sorry, the feed is this rubber part. So the feed is this rubber part that literally is a reservoir and feeds your nib, which is the metal part. So we're just going to grab a little notebook. This is old craft paper, so this is nothing I really care about, but we're just going to go ahead and do a couple lines just to get any excess ink that's just a little over too much out of the feed. And I just always find that kind of helps me. Now we're going to put this one aside. This one is re-inked and good to go with Wearingle TikTok Croc. So the next one I decided to do is going to be the Con 70. This is a push button type mechanism. And I decided to do this one next because the twist mechanism is similar to the Con 40. And we're going to take a vanishing point up here. You might hear about the Con 40, Con 70. Those are just pilot terms. But the differences in number are the differences in size and volume. So this is a Con 40 over here. And I usually have to fill these with good use, like probably once a week, I would say, at the rate I go through my Con 40s, about once a week. Con 70, a little bit longer. As you can see, it's wider and it's got a greater volume. Now, this is a medium, so it takes me a week to go through this. This is a flex, so I can go through a lot more ink in about a week if I want to. So, all right, we're gonna put that Con 40 back in its vanishing point. You can join me for that journey. Oh, okay, I'm just gonna get this extra ink off. While you're at it, like anytime I'm just doing this, I just take the time to clean it up. You're always gonna have a little bit. It's called staining sometimes. You can always clean it if you really want, but I mean, it's a feature of your hobby and your joy. So, you know, it's like having a scratch on your knife. Sometimes it just shows that you use it and care for it. All right, so we're back to the Con 70. So the Con 70 is a push button mechanism. So you push this down and that creates the vacuum to suck up the ink. Now, with a shimmer ink, you're going to see shimmer on the bottom. This one's been sitting for a while. So shimmer is metal particles that are suspended in the liquid that give it a glistening effect. So the shimmer's at the bottom. Shimmer inks you really, really want to shake up good. And you're getting all that. See, you can look and see, and there's still a bunch stuck at the bottom. See, we're going to keep going. Ideally, you want to keep going until all that shimmer is like in your ink, but if you're looking for less shimmer, you can kind of control this process, which is kind of cool. But for my Arctic Blue, I'm going all out shimmer. All right, so we are good. Always be careful opening. So again, I'm going to put this into the liquid just above where the nib meets the body, and then I'm going to activate the mechanism. So I'm putting this down below. Now I'm going to... Oh, you guys can't see that. Hold on. There we go. This one, you can see it gets sucked up. There you go. Did one more for good measure, and we're good. All right, again, when you take it out, you got to be careful here. Now, this whole process is one of the reasons... Oh, there you go. Sorry, I wasn't in view. This whole process is one of the reasons that fountain pens came out of common use, was because it took more care and effort to do this process. And, you know, one of the latest or last innovations was the snorkel, and it was like a little tube that popped up, and so you didn't have to, you know, submerge the entire pen and get your fingers wet and such like this sometimes. But this is kind of a downfall of fountain pens, but at the same time, it's part of my routine. It's part of the thing that makes me, you know, it's like cleaning a tool. You get to spend time with it, get to know it, and make you appreciate it that much more. So I kind of don't mind this process. Alrighty. Oh, look at all that caught in the feed. Now, this is a double slit ebonite feed. I actually got a red one. It's an aftermarket feed because I wanted to make sure that I had plenty of feed for this flex nib. This is a Falcon nib on the 743. So that one's ready to go. I'm going to grab our craft paper over here and just kind of get rid of anything excess that was in the feed. We'll use that same sheet, why not? And I will say thank you for watching. All right, cool. So we got some of the excess ink out of that feed. That's probably good to go. All right, so now we're going to move to the last pen. I saved this one for last because it's a vintage, and you don't really see this mechanism anymore. They were replaced with other mechanisms we already talked about. All right, so this is a 1920s pen. With vintage pens, you want to be careful because you don't want to use inks that have a lot of crazy qualities that are newer, such as shimmer, because that shimmer will gunk up these mechanisms because these mechanisms were designed before the use of shimmer, really. I mean, you can take a gamble, but not me, man. When I have such a nice pen that's that old, I'm not going to take a gamble. I want this thing working forever, and I want to use it. So you stick with kind of safe inks, quote unquote. Safe inks are going to have fewer attributes. They're mostly going to be shaders. They're not going to have a lot of sheen, or they're not going to have a lot of shimmer. And also, typically they're going to be inks from common manufacturers that you know are not going to mess too strongly with the pH, and they are going to be solid performers, such as Diamine. You've got Waterman. You've got a couple other vintage brands, or brands that are good in vintages, I should say. So in this one, we're using Diamine Sherwood Green. I'm going to go ahead and give it a little shake. It doesn't really need it because, you know, it's not got all the shimmer in there, but we're still going to give it a little shake. Might be a tiny bit of sheen, who knows. All right. So with these lever feelers, lever, whatever you prefer, you're going to pop up, get your fingernail or tool under there. Take that, and you're going to get your fingernail under there and pull it up. Now, most only go to about 90 degrees. I did find this one went a little bit further, and it pulled the sack up even more. So on these lever fillers, what you find is that there's a latex sack on the inside, and when you pull this up, it pushes the sack down and expels any excess liquid in there. Now, when I push this up, it's going to expand the sack and create a vacuum and suck everything up. So we are going to put the nib again just above our nib to the body to make sure our fill hole is covered. We're going to put that right into the ink, and then we are just going to go ahead and use our lever and push it back up. Now, other vintages might not go this far, like I said, so do be careful. Most of them, or some of them, might stop at that 90-degree point. Don't force it. If it doesn't want to go, don't make it go. It's a vintage. All right, so we're going to put this in all the way down and snap it back up. Boom, done. Now, one thing that I am going to do, though, is hold it in there, because I'm going to give it another 3 to 5 seconds. I want to give it that extra little bit of time to have enough time to suck up that ink that you want. All right, that's plenty. I actually overdid it there, kind of talking to you. I'm going to take it out, same process. So I'm going to take our, oops, sorry, can't see there. I'm going to take our paper towel or cloth. We're going to do that. And then same deal. We're going to, there we go. All right, so now we're going to take our little paper towel, same deal. I'm just going to go, try not to hit the breather hole there. Try not to hit the that center line, because you're just going to exude ink and start sucking it up. And that's fine. Again, you're never going to get all the ink off, so don't worry. Don't be OCD about it. It's part of having a fountain pen. All right, and there we go. We'll make sure that everything's working well. Get the excess ink out of the feed there, and we'll say thank you again. All right. Well, thank you for joining me on this trip. You now know how to refill at least 3 different types of fountain pens.